Hello everyone, this is part 4 video on past year NEET questions from the topic S block elements. Those who are looking at it can probably also take a look at the other 3 part videos so that you will have the continuity of questions. We will start with a question that has come in the year 2008. The alkali metals form salt like hydrides. In fact, the hydrides of alkali metals are what they have ionic nature. By direct synthesis at elevated temperature, the thermal stability of these hydrides decreases in which of the following order? So when you talk about thermal stability, right? So thermal stability of any salt or ionic substance will directly depend upon the lattice energy. Thermal stability will depend upon the lattice energy. So where the lattice energy is high, thermal stability also will be high. When the lattice energy is low, thermal stability will be low. Now, if you look at the hydrides, so hydrides will have H minus ion, and the cations will be the alkali metals, whether it is a lithium or sodium or potassium or rubidium or cesium. See, this anion is a small anion. Now, the thing about lattice energy is when the cation and anion are comparable size, then lattice energy will be high. Means for small anion, a small cation like lithium plus will be able to give high lattice energy. The lattice energy will be high, which means what? When the lattice energy is high, we are saying thermal stability is high. So lithium hydride will be thermally more stable than. So as you go down the group, what is happening? The lattice energy is decreasing, right? As you go down the group, the lattice energy is decreasing. Means thermal stability also will be decreasing. So lithium hydride will be more thermally stable than sodium hydride, than potassium hydride, than rubidium hydride, than cesium hydride. So always remember this, the thermal stability will be depending upon the lattice energy. And another thing, in fact, if you look at the other part videos, we see that most of these trends, right, we will get questions on either the thermal stability part or solubility. Solubility will depend upon two energies, lattice energy and hydration energy. These are the two factors on which the solubility will depend upon. So for the solubility to be more, lattice energy must be less, hydration energy must be high. So look at these things. So the correct answer for this is what? Option B. Next we have a question that has come in 2007. The correct order of increasing thermal stability. Again same thing. So thermal stability should be increasing for K2CO3, MgCO3, CaCO3 and BeCO3. So if you take a closer look at it, right, there is a slight difference in terms of this, or it's not a group based question alone. Why? Because if you see, we have beryllium carbonate, then comes magnesium carbonate, then comes calcium carbonate, all are in the same group, okay, but potassium carbonate will be here, okay, the same, the period, it will be in the same period as the calcium. So all of them are not belong to the same group. That's why it's not a group trend based question, okay. But yeah, look at this. The correct order of increasing thermal stability. See, thermal stability will depend upon what? It's a previous question also we were analyzing, thermal stability. So whenever we have a question on thermal stability, always we have to think about what? The lattice energy. Thermal stability always depends upon lattice energy. So when you talk about lattice energy, here the ions that are changing between the given 4 substances. So we look at 1, 2, 3, 4. Between the 4 substances, right? Anion is same. Carbonate ion is same. Of course, carbonate ion is a large anion. In the previous problem, we talked about hydride ion, which is a small anion. So carbonate ion, right, has got 1 carbon and 3 oxygen atoms. It's a large anion. So a large cation will be able to have an effective packing with a large anion, and hence the lattice energy will be high. So which means in the 3, beryllium, magnesium, calcium, right, as we go down the group, what is going to happen? The size of ion will increase. So here the size of the cation is actually increasing, means the lattice energy will be what? Increasing. So as you go from the beryllium to calcium, the lattice energy will be what? Increasing. means thermal stability also will be increasing. So what must be the trend between these three? What must be the trend? The trend is beryllium carbonate less than magnesium carbonate less than calcium carbonate. Now comes the case of potassium. See, potassium and calcium, they are in the same period. But what about the sizes? Potassium ion size will be more than calcium ion. The size of the potassium ion will be more than the calcium ion. Okay. So since the size of the potassium ion is more, we will see that the lattice energy in the case of potassium carbonate will be higher. So as a result, what is going to happen? The potassium carbonate will be more stable than the calcium carbonate itself. So which means the thermal stability order will be what? Beryllium carbonate will be less stable than magnesium, than calcium, than potassium. So whenever we have a question on thermal stability, we have to answer it based upon the lattice energy. Next, we have a question that has come in 2007. In which of the following hydration energy is higher than the lattice energy? So here if you look at it, right, the second group is what we are talking about, sulfates. Here what we have, magnesium sulfate, then comes the calcium is missing, then comes strontium sulfate, then comes barium sulfate, then comes radium sulfate. Okay, so all are the sulfate ions, common, anion is common. Okay, so here the question is hydration energy is higher than the lattice energy. So if you look at it, when we have an anion, sulfate ion, which is a large anion, okay, so large cation will be able to give more lattice energy. Means as we go down the group, right, size of the cations will be increasing, because you know the size of the atoms will increase. Magnesium to strontium to barium to radium, the size will be increasing. Both the atom size will increase, cation size also will be increasing. Means size of the ions is increasing, means what? That is going to increase the lattice energy. So lattice energy is going to be increasing since the cations are going to become larger, and since the anion is already large, sulfate ion is what? Large, 1 sulfur atom and 4 oxygen atoms. So large cation will be able to give high lattice energy. So lattice energy will be increasing down the group. Okay, so this is what the radium, it will be having high lattice energy, and magnesium will be having what? Low lattice energy. Now the other energy we are talking about is hydration energy. See, hydration energy is what? These ions, magnesium, strontium, barium and radium, right, they are positive ions. So when they are present in the solution, they will be surrounded by the water molecules. Okay, and the hydration will depend upon the charge density. So small cations, right, because all of them are having the same charge, 2 units charge. The cation size small means in that particular case the charge density will be what? High. So in case of magnesium, the charge density will be high, means that is going to surrounded by more number of water molecules, hence the hydration energy also will be high. So in case of magnesium, the hydration energy will be high, and as you go down the group, what is going to happen? The charge density will be decreasing, right, hence the hydration energy will decrease. As you go down the group, the hydration energy will be what? Decreasing. In fact, in this question we didn't have beryllium. If there is a beryllium, means beryllium will be having the highest hydration energy than magnesium itself. Okay, because that will be the smallest. So the question is, which of the following will have a hydration energy higher than lattice energy? See, as you go down the group, lattice energy is what? Increasing, and means top least lattice energy. As you go down the group, hydration energy is what? Decreasing, means top highest hydration energy. So in which case the hydration energy will be higher than lattice energy? What is the most possible case? It is in the case of the magnesium. So it will be in the case of what? Magnesium. So I'll just rub this part so that we can look at what is the analysis. So the possible case, right, where we'll have the hydration energy more than lattice energy will be the case of the magnesium. Okay, so the actual situation, if you look at it, right, the beryllium sulfate will be very much soluble in water, both beryllium and the magnesium sulfates. That is because of the high hydration or high solvation energy that will come, and that is because of small size of the magnesium and beryllium ions. Whereas if you go down the group, right, we'll see the calcium sulfate will be what? Sparingly soluble, because the solubility will be depending upon the hydration energy and lattice energy. Okay, so when the hydration energy is very much higher than lattice energy, means that particular salt will be easily soluble. That happens in the case of the beryllium and magnesium. Then if you go to strontium or barium or radium, they will be almost insoluble. So here the question is basically we have to tell in which case the hydration energy will be higher than lattice energy. Beryllium is not given. Among these four options, right, what will be the correct answer? It is magnesium sulfate. So whenever we talk about the solubility, right, we have to look at these two energy factors. The hydration energy. Hydration energy is when we have water. Otherwise, for any solvent means we will call it as what? Solvation. So when we have water present as a solvent, right, we will call it as what? Hydration energy. Otherwise, we will be calling it as what? Solvation. Okay. Let's look at a question that has come in the year 2006. The correct order of mobility of alkali metal ions in aqueous solution. So this is a question that we have seen, I think, in different forms. So if you look at these ions, right, the alkali metal ions, whether it is a lithium or sodium or potassium or rubidium. Okay, so all of them are having the 1 unit positive charge. Okay, and the size will be what? Lithium has the least size, which means what? It is going to have the highest charge density. That will result in high hydration. Means, it can attract more number of water layers around it. Means, what happens is, because of the high charge density, maybe, I'm just giving you one rough number, it may be able to attract some, let's say 50 water molecules around it. Then sodium will be able to attract only some 30 or something like that. Potassium will be able to attract even lesser. So which means if you look at the effective size, right, it is not just about the size of the lithium or potassium or sodium or rubidium, it is the size by including these water molecules. We'll see that the effective size will be highest for lithium. So whenever the effective size is, so the mobility will depend upon the size, not on the size of the ion actually, but the effective size of ion. Means we have to include the water molecules also. So wherever the effective size is high, so the effective size order will be like this: lithium will be more than sodium more than potassium more than rubidium. That is the order of the effective size. So wherever the effective size is high, in that particular case the mobility will be less. Means mobility will be highest for what? Rubidium. So what is the mobility order? It will be rubidium more than potassium more than sodium than lithium. So if you look at the alkali metal ions, right, they exist as what? The hydrated. They will be existing as the hydrated ions, and these hydrated ions, right, the degree of hydration will decrease from lithium to cesium. So here of course we are not talking about cesium, we are ending our analysis up to rubidium itself. Okay, so since the charge density of the lithium ion will be high, that will be most highly hydrated. Means it will be able to have more number of water molecules around it. Now as a result of the high hydration, right, what is going to happen? The mobility of the ions will be less, because the mobility will be inversely proportional to size of the hydrated ions. Therefore if you look at it, right, the lithium, since its size is highest, the mobility will be what? Least. So as you go down the group, the mobility will be what? Increasing, because the effective size will be decreasing. So what is the correct order? It is rubidium more than potassium more than sodium more than lithium. So this is a question about the hydration of the alkali metal ions or alkali earth metal ions, and the outcome of this, because the hydration energy will play a role in terms of the solubility part, and also in deciding the reducing power of these ions in solution. If you see, lithium will have exceptionally high reducing power in aqueous solution. It is also because of what? Because of the high level of hydration of lithium. Next we have a question that has come in 2005. The correct sequence of increasing covalent characteristics. See, increasing covalent characteristics, we have been talking about it. Whenever we have to look at the covalent characteristics, we have to look at the Fazan's rules. So let's just summarize what are the Fazan's rules. Fazan's rules talks about the conditions which will favor either the ionic nature or the covalent nature. In fact, the conditions that will favor covalent nature, right? So whatever the conditions that will favor the covalent nature will be exactly reverse. They will be exactly reverse to the conditions that will favor ionic nature. The conditions that will favor the covalent nature will be exactly reverse to the conditions that will favor the ionic nature. So let's just take a look at it. So what is the first rule? Greater the size of the cations, more will be the ionic characteristics. When the size of the cation is more, the ionic characteristics will be what? More. Greater the size of the anion, more will be the covalent characteristics. Means when the anion is bigger, the covalent characteristics will be high. And greater the charge on the cation, more will be the covalent nature. So here we can even add anion. So greater charges, right? So when you have cation charge or anion charge higher, high charges means what? In that case, the covalent nature will be what? High. Why? Because losing more number of electrons or gaining more number of electrons is always thermodynamically more difficult. That's why the nature will be shifting from ionic nature to covalent nature, because instead of losing and gaining, there will be a tendency to share the electrons. So now let's just come to the question. So here if you look at it, right, again so we are commenting on the answer, but look at this, what are these compounds given to us? Lithium chloride, sodium chloride, and the beryllium chloride. I am representing them the way they appear in the table. So lithium and sodium, they belong to one group, and lithium and beryllium, they will belong to one period. Okay, so if you look at it, as you go to the group, what happens? So here all our anions are all same. Anions, they are all what? Same. So there is no difference between them. All are what? Chloride ions. Now the question is only about the cations. Between lithium and sodium, right, which is a larger cation? As you go down the group, size will increase. Means the sodium will have a larger cation size. Means what? The sodium will be having more ionic nature. Sodium will be having more ionic nature than lithium itself. Okay. So if you look at here, we are not talking about the ionic nature. We are talking about what? The covalent. So we are talking about the increasing covalent nature. Means lithium chloride will be more covalent than sodium chloride. Why? Because sodium chloride, the cation size is more. Because look at this, the greater the size of the cation, more will be the ionic nature. Okay, so sodium, more ionic nature means less covalent nature. Whatever the conditions will be reverse. Okay, so sodium chloride will be less covalent than lithium chloride. That comparison is over. Now we have to talk about the beryllium chloride. Since beryllium is in the same period as lithium, we will be able to compare between the lithium and beryllium. So look at this, between lithium and beryllium, right, the beryllium size will be lesser than lithium. So beryllium 2+ ion will be lesser in terms of size than lithium. Not only that, the beryllium is having 2+ charge. See, cation size lesser means what? Cation size more means ionic. Cation size lesser means what? Covalent. So the beryllium 2+ compounds will be more covalent than lithium for two reasons. One, beryllium 2+ ion is a small cation. That is one. Second thing is, beryllium 2+ is having 2 units of charge, whereas lithium is having only 1. Remember, greater charge on the cation or anion. That will be what? More covalent nature. Means the covalent nature of the BeCl2, right, will be more than that of the lithium chloride itself. So what is the correct answer for this? The correct answer is what? NaCl will be less covalent than lithium chloride than beryllium chloride. Here we are looking at the increasing covalent nature or increasing covalent characteristics. Okay. Let's go to the next question. This is the question that has come in the year 2004. A solid compound X on heating gives CO2 and a residue. I think this model of question we already covered. The residue mixed with water forms Y. On passing excess of CO2 through Y in water, a clear solution of Z is obtained. On boiling Z, the compound X is reformed. The compound X will be. So this is a question that we will be able to answer if we look at the reactions of the alkaline earth metals and their compounds. It's a very popular reaction, which is about the reaction of calcium carbonate. So calcium carbonate on heating, it will give us what? The carbon dioxide gas and calcium oxide, which is the residue. So this is the residue that we are talking about. Okay, and the residue when mixed with water, it will give Y. Y is what? Calcium hydroxide. And when the Y excess CO2 is bubbled through it, we will get what? Calcium hydrogen carbonate, which is Z. Z, calcium hydrogen carbonate, on heating will give back the calcium carbonate. So this is a sequence of reactions which you will have about the calcium carbonate. So the correct answer for this is what? Option B, which is calcium carbonate. So we have to cover the reactions that are there in the NCERT for all these, alkali metals as well as alkaline earth metals and their important compounds. Next we have a question that has come in the year 2000. In which of the following process fused sodium hydroxide is electrolyzed at 330 degrees centigrade temperature for the extraction of sodium? So if you look at first what they're saying, so we must know the names, these commercial preparation method names. So what is the first one? They are saying Castner process. What is Castner process? It is the electrolysis of the fused sodium hydroxide. So fused sodium hydroxide, when we perform the electrolysis, we will be able to obtain the sodium metal. So this is the method of preparation of sodium. This is not Castner-Kellner process. Castner-Kellner process is basically the method to prepare sodium hydroxide itself. Castner process is what? The electrolysis of fused sodium hydroxide, that will give us the sodium metal. Okay, so the answer we already got it. What is it? Castner process. Now let's look at the others also. The option B is Downs process. So what is Downs process? Downs process is basically the electrochemical method of getting magnesium. So molten magnesium chloride, right? Remember these metals like aluminum, magnesium, they are highly reactive, including sodium. So we can not have the carbon reduction. We can only have what? Electrolytic reduction. So the electrolytic reduction of magnesium chloride will give us what? The metallic magnesium, and this happens in what we call as the Downs cell. That's what is the Downs process. So Downs process for what? It is for the making of commercial method to prepare the magnesium from magnesium chloride. Then we have cyanide process. Cyanide process comes in the metallurgy chapter. Okay, so what is cyanide process? Cyanide process also called as what? MacArthur-Forrest process, right? It is for the extraction of silver and gold. Okay, from the ores where we have the dilute solution of sodium cyanide or potassium cyanide. It will form a complex with these metals. The complex will be extracted out. It will be a soluble complex, and then the complex will react with a relatively more reactive element like zinc. So complex will have gold or silver. So gold or silver cyanide complex will be formed, which will be soluble, and the complex will react with zinc. There will be a displacement reaction, and that will give back, it will form a zinc complex, and then it will give us the pure gold or silver. So this is the cyanide process. It is for the extraction of metals like silver and gold. So the correct answer for this is what? Option A, which is the Castner's process. So we must remember all these standard commercial methods of preparation and the respective names. So in every commercial preparation, right, we must look at what are the raw materials and what is the product being formed. And for particular cases like Castner-Kellner process, not in the Castner's process, but in the Castner-Kellner process, we also need to look at what happens at the cathode and what happens at the anode. So those kind of questions also we can expect. Next we have a question that has come in the year 1998. When a substance A reacts with water, it produces combustible gas B. So we have a substance A, when it is reacting with water, it produces combustible gas B. And a solution of substance C in water. When another substance D reacts with this solution of C, it also produces the same gas B on warming, but D can produce gas B on reaction with dilute sulfuric acid at room temperature. So if you look at these steps, right, the way we will really look at solving these kind of questions is, we have to pick up one proper clue that will be able to lead to the correct compound, because as you read through, there will be a lot of steps that will be mentioned, but we have to look at one such proper clue which will be talking about what could be the substance. Okay, now the substance A imparts a deep golden yellow color to a smokeless flame of Bunsen burner. So this is the flame test. So what is the color it is giving as? It is giving the flame of yellow color. Then A, B, C, D will be respectively. So if you look at, you will be asking, so how do we know what is this particular metal, whether it is A is a calcium or potassium or sodium or calcium carbide. Now the moment they say that the substance A is giving a golden yellow color, we have to remember the flame test colors of the alkali metals as well as alkaline earth metals. So if you look at the alkali metals, right, lithium gives what? Crimson red, sodium gives yellow, potassium violet, rubidium red violet, cesium blue. Whereas the alkaline earth metals, calcium gives what? Brick red, strontium gives crimson red, barium gives apple green. For beryllium and magnesium, the radiation, the corresponding wavelength will actually be of high energy level, and they will not be falling in the visible region. Okay, so in fact for magnesium, sometimes people also call it as bright white color, but generally the radiation, right, will be having a high energy, so it will not fall in the visible region because the difference between the energy levels in beryllium and magnesium will be high. As a result, the transitions in case of beryllium and magnesium, right, will give us radiation of very high energy, which will not be falling in the visible region. That's why they will not be a part of this flame test. Now when they say that the substance A imparts a deep golden yellow color to the smokeless flame of Bunsen burner, it basically means what we have in our hand is probably sodium. Now we'll try to correlate. So look at this. If you have sodium, okay, so if you have sodium, right, then what the sodium is going to do when it is dissolved in water, it will give us H2, which is a combustible gas, and the substance C. What is C? Sodium hydroxide. Okay, when another substance D reacts with this solution of C, it also produces the same gas B on warming, but D can produce gas B on reaction with dilute sulfuric acid at room temperature. Means we are able to find out what is this A is what? Sodium, and the B, which is the gas is what? H2. C is sodium hydroxide. The question about D is if you look at if you are able to see the option, then we have got the answer anyway, but still because they are talking about the D, which can produce the hydrogen gas with the dilute sulfuric acid. So zinc will be able to produce hydrogen gas with the dilute sulfuric acid, but zinc only on warming will be able to give us sodium zincate and hydrogen. Zinc we know is got amphoteric nature, but with the dilute sulfuric acid, zinc will directly react. Zinc granules and dilute sulfuric acid. This is a common reaction that we see where it will produce hydrogen gas, which is of course going to burn with a pop sound. But only on warming, zinc will react with sodium hydroxide to give us what? Sodium zincate and hydrogen gas. Okay, so the correct answer for this is option C. So in all these kind of questions, we have to look for what is that one clue from which we will be able to go back and check all these options. So while solving the synthesis questions, right, like these stepwise questions, we have to keep on looking for what is that one hint from where we will be able to conclusively tell. Okay, let's go to the next question. This is the question that has come in the year 1997. The electrolysis of calcium chloride in water. Okay, so anyway, so the question is calcium is obtained by, what is the question? The method of preparation of calcium. Okay, so calcium is also a reactive metal, just like magnesium, aluminum. Calcium is also what? Reactive metal. So we will obtain this by the electrolysis of the anhydrous calcium chloride. So the electrolysis of molten anhydrous calcium chloride, right? Anhydrous calcium chloride means what? There will be no moisture. Okay, so the anhydrous calcium chloride, when it undergoes dissociation, it will give us calcium 2+ ions and chloride ions. At anode, we will see that the Cl- ions will get discharged, we will get chlorine gas. At cathode, we will see that the cations, calcium 2+ ions will get discharged, and that will give us what? It will give us the calcium. If it is aqueous solution, right, then there will be a problem. So why? Because aqueous solution means at the cathode we will have both H plus and then calcium 2 plus. And reduction, H plus will have a preference for undergoing reduction because of the reduction potential order. H plus will undergo reduction in case of, in case of aqueous solution. That's why we will not be able to get the calcium. Just like the way it happens in the case of sodium also. Okay. So the electrolysis of molten anhydrous calcium chloride, right, will be able to give us the calcium. If you look at option A, what is option A saying? Electrolysis of solution of calcium chloride in water. This will not give. Why? Because we will see that at the cathode H plus will get discharged and not the calcium 2 plus. Option C is what? Option C is saying roasting of limestone. Limestone is what? Calcium carbonate. Okay. So in fact, see, roasting is what? Heating in the presence of oxygen. That is not going to do anything for the for the process of getting calcium. In fact, no. So when we do calcination, heating in the absence or small presence of oxygen, the calcium carbonate will be giving us what? It will be giving us calcium oxide. That is going to come from the calcination. Okay. So calcination will give us the oxide. So from oxide we can find out some alternative methods for producing calcium, but not by the roasting. So this is not going to be happening. Option D is what? Reduction of calcium chloride with carbon. See, the carbon reduction method will not be feasible for the highly reactive metals like calcium and magnesium and aluminum. So the correct answer for this is what? Option B. Next we have a question that has come in the year 1995. Sodium is made by the electrolysis of molten mixture of 40% NaCl and 60% CaCl2. See, whenever we are having the molten mixtures along with the original compound, so this is the original compound, right? So we are trying to produce the sodium. So the original compound is what? Sodium chloride. The molten sodium chloride, if you do electrolysis, we must get the sodium metal formed at the cathode. But if we are adding some substance, then generally these substances that are added, right, will be added in achieving one of these objectives. Either they are added to increase the conductivity, so whereby the electrolysis can happen faster, or they are added to decrease or lower the melting point. Because if normally sodium chloride is melting at a particular temperature, by adding CaCl2 in the particular ratio of 40:60, right, what we will be able to see is that the melting point of the NaCl will be lowered. So because of this mixture formation, right, the melting point will be getting lowered. So decreasing melting point, how it is going to help in the entire process is, because if throughout the electrolysis, if we have to maintain the temperature at 700 degrees centigrade, then that is going to be asking for a lot of energy to be spent. Instead, if the molten NaCl can actually happen at, say for example, 500 degrees centigrade, then it is going to be giving us a lot of leverage in terms of the energy reduction. So that is the reason why. So the addition of the substances along with the original compound during the electrolysis rate is mainly done for what? It is mainly done for either increasing the electrical conductivity, means the electrolysis will happen faster, or to decrease the melting point. So in this case, right, the calcium chloride is actually added to lower the melting point of NaCl. So calcium chloride is added to lower the melting point of the NaCl and for no other reason. So the correct answer for this is what? Option D. In fact, we'll see that even in the electrolytic reduction of Al2O3, right? So we'll be adding cryolite, Na3, Al, F6 and CaF2. So both these compounds will be added to achieve the increase in the electrical conductivity and also to lower the melting point. Next we have a question that has come in the year 1995. The solubility in water of sulfate down the beryllium group is beryllium more than magnesium more than calcium more than strontium more than barium. This is due to. So this is the question that we've been already discussing. So beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium. So we're talking about the sulfates. Sulfate ion is a large anion. And large anion means a large cation. A large cation will be able to give what? It will be able to give high lattice energy. So the barium sulfate will have high lattice energy because barium ion is a large cation, and beryllium sulfate will have low lattice energy. The solubility will depend upon two factors. One is the lattice energy, and second one is the hydration energy. Hydration energy is the energy released because of the hydration of the ions. Now if you look at the beryllium 2 plus, magnesium 2 plus, calcium 2 plus, and strontium 2 plus and barium 2 plus, right? Beryllium 2 plus, all of them are having the same charge, 2 units charge. Beryllium 2 plus has got the least size. Size is least, means it will be having high charge density, which means this will be able to attract more water molecules around it. So the hydration energy is going to be what? High. So in case of beryllium, the hydration energy is going to be higher. So if you look at the beryllium, here the hydration energy will be high, and in case of barium, it will be having the low hydration energy. So if you're looking at the main reason why the solubility is decreasing down the group, right? The trend. So option A is saying what? Option A is saying decreasing of the lattice energy. Is lattice energy decreasing? No, lattice energy is actually increasing down the group. Okay, this is not correct. Option B is saying what? High heat of solvation for smaller ions like beryllium 2 plus. Okay, so the beryllium 2 plus is got small size, because of which it is having high charge density. So it is having high hydration energy. Hydration energy can be also called as what? Solvation energy. I mean, hydration we use particularly for water, but in general we can call it as what? Solvation. So beryllium 2 plus, because of the small size, right, it will be having what? High heat of hydration or high heat of solvation. So this is the correct answer. And option C is saying what? Increasing in the melting point. So this is not attributed for the solubility. And option D is saying what? Increasing in the molecular weight. This is also not attributed. So what is the correct answer for this? Option B. Why? In case of beryllium, the hydration energy is more, and that's the reason why those beryllium sulfate will be more soluble. So generally, if the hydration energy is much more than lattice energy, that particular salt will be what? More soluble. And that is what is happening in the case of beryllium. Hydration energy is what? Highest. We can say hydration energy is what? Highest. And lattice energy is the least. That's why it is highly soluble. So this is about this part, and we'll see in the next part video.